This is Everybody Pulls the Tarp with your host, Andrew Moses. Each week, Andrew talks with Olympians, pro athletes, TV stars, Grammy winners, best-selling authors, CEOs, and other high performers to uncover their success secrets.
My guest is Washington Commanders running back Austin Ekeler.
Every day we write a page of our life. The best thing is you have the pen in your hand.
Three-time Olympic gold medalist Tessa Virtue. Welcome back to Everybody Pulls the Tarp.
Thanks for thinking of me, and I'm a big fan of the podcast and of yours. So anytime you text or call, I'm here.
Mike Mills from REM.
The key to that was realizing at some point fairly early on that this was probably our life's work.
Every conversation is jam-packed with inspiration and actionable ideas.
My guest is 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year, Stephanie White.
The hardest thing for a coach is trying to prioritize how much time you put in one area or another.
Former MLB player, coach, and manager Clint Hurdle.
That is the best title of any podcast out there in America, and the content matches up to it. Andrew, you do a fantastic job. I'm a big fan. Keep up the great work.
World-renowned organizing expert Shira Gill.
You can improve your life simply by removing things.
Get ready for a behind-the-scenes look at the techniques, processes, and mindsets powering the world's most successful people.
Let's go. Hi, friends, and welcome back to Everybody Pulls the Tarp. Well, listeners, today's guest has made millions of children smile, helped families around the world have more dance parties in their kitchens, and has been making long family car rides more fun for kids and parents for decades. If you are a kid, have kids, have recently been a kid, or know someone with kids, then you probably know who I am talking about. People magazine called her the Queen of Kids Music. Listeners, my guest today is kids music superstar Laurie Berkner. Laurie's songs are beloved by families worldwide. Her songs have been streamed more than 1.7 billion times. That's billions with a B. Her songs are streamed an average of 22 million times per month. Her YouTube channel has been viewed more than 595 million times. And Laurie has sold millions of CDs and DVDs. Her songs include household staples and Moses family favorites like We Are the Dinosaurs, Victor Vito, Rocket Ship Run, Chipmunk at the Gas Pump, and many, many more. Laurie has performed at Lincoln Center, Carnegie Hall, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, the White House, and so many other prestigious and iconic venues. Today, Laurie continues to maintain a busy writing, recording, and touring schedule. She released her latest album, Walking with the Penguins, back in late June, and her first musical board book, Waiting for the Elevator, back in May. In the conversation you are about to hear, Laurie shares an incredible behind-the-scenes look at her journey. You'll hear about the early days of her career when she juggled cover band gigs and smoky bars by night and kids' birthday party appearances by day. You'll hear how Laurie ultimately broke through. You'll hear all about her creative process, as well as many of the most powerful ideas she has learned along the way. Listeners, this is a really fun and powerful conversation with inspiration and actionable ideas that we all can apply to our own lives, both personally and professionally. It was such a treat to sit down with someone who will forever be a part of some of the Moses family's fondest memories. And I hope you take away as much from this conversation with Laurie as I have. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. So, let's pull the tarp and get straight to kids music icon, the one and only Laurie Berkner. All right, Laurie, where I want to begin, I read that your parents were not musicians, but that your dad had a violin that he had kept from his time in junior high, and he would bring that violin out and play it at Christmas time. Is that your first musical memory?
No. I mean, it was an early one. We definitely did that, but we did that actually when I was a little bit older and I had already started playing piano, and my brother probably also had too. He's a couple years younger than me. My earliest musical memory, is more around singing and being maybe 2 or 3 and marching around my room singing Do Re Mi from The Sound of Music along with my Fisher-Price record player, trying to keep myself from being bored, waiting for my parents to get up and let me out of my room, basically.
Now I'm curious, Laurie, when's the first time that you sang or played an instrument in public? And maybe public is a broad term, but played an instrument or sang in front of somebody else where you knew that they were watching or listening intently.
Well, the first thing that I remember was being in chorus when I was 7, probably. And of course, it wasn't just me singing. It was the whole grade, probably 3rd grade. But what I remember about that was this incredible feeling of actually hearing all the other voices and how they all sounded so beautiful together. And that there was at the time, I think I was really feeling kind of the energetic vibrations of all of those sound waves banging into each other and also finding their connection with each other at the same time. But there was something so exciting about that. I really remember thinking, oh my God, this is incredible. But in front of people, I think it was more actually when I went to camp a couple of years later. I used to like to sing a lot, and I had a swimming teacher, and she would say, "You have a really nice voice, get in the pool." And they would tell me to sing some song from the campfire by myself in the pool during our swim lessons. And I thought, oh, I guess somebody likes the way I sing. That's cool because I love singing. So that was one of those early times that I definitely never forgot.
So up until that point, did you think, at least in your own mind, that you were somewhat gifted musically or not really?
Not sure that I would use gifted, but I felt like I loved music. Anytime someone put music into something I was doing, it made it more fun. So I always was searching for that and trying to make it happen myself. I think sometimes I felt like I could sing better than I actually could sing.
We all do.
Right, exactly. I had one choir director in high school. He was so incredible. He definitely gave me parts to do and stuff. But sometimes when I would be in the group, he would say to me, "Laurie, I can hear you sticking out. This is not Oklahoma, the musical. This is a choir. You're all supposed to blend and sing together." And I was like, "Oh, okay. You mean, in German? Yeah, okay."
So what did you love about it so much at that point? Because when you corrected me there and said, maybe not gifted, but I loved it, there was a smile on your face. There was a look in your eyes just momentarily that it was just so genuine and so interesting. I'm curious. So tell me more. What was it that you loved so much?
It just made me feel alive, I think, and really happy. I have memories of spending my time when I wasn't in school or doing homework, either with my friends or with my brother or by myself, singing and acting out songs. Like if it rained on the way home, I would spend my entire walk home singing in the rain and like trying to grab onto telephone poles and swing myself around them while I was singing it and twirling my umbrella around. And I used to talk my brother into practicing songs like from the Muppet movie when we were kids. And I was like, we're going to go on the Gong Show and we are going to nail it. And we're going to win that show because we're so good. And we would practice by like standing on the coffee table. And that was the stage. Just did a lot of things like that when I was a kid. And I think because it was fun. I just found it so fun and satisfying. And also a lot of feelings come through music. So maybe there was a part of it too that I liked experiencing all the joy and the feeling of my voice coming through my body and the emotions that would come along with that.
Was there a point in your teenage years in high school where you said to yourself, or you started to see the result of the work and that there was improvement and that there was greater command of the craft? Talk about that for a moment.
The thing that I remember that makes me think of was when I was in high school, I started auditioning for the musicals. And the first my first year and my second year. So first year and sophomore year, I was in the chorus of the musical. So I was background singer, jumping around the stage and doing stuff. And then I auditioned in my junior year. We did Wonderful Town. And I decided to audition with a song from Chorus Line that is, every day for a week, we would try to feel the motion. And that note getting up was a B flat. And it was so hard for me to hit that note without singing it. I don't know how much about singing, but you have a different quality in a head voice than in a chest voice. So I had to work really hard to be able to get that strength up high. And I practiced it over and over again. I would go into my parents' room when they were gone during the day in the afternoons and shut the door and play that music and sing the song and act it out for the audition. And I know a lot of people just got up and sang a song and got off. And I was like, I am going to act out this whole song and I'm going to work it really hard. And I'm going to get that note when I do the audition because I don't want to crack when I hit that note. And I don't want it to sound weak in my head voice. And I think I might have even hurt myself a little bit doing that. But I got it and I got the part. And I feel like
you got the part.
I got the part. Yeah. And I worked really hard to do that. And I remember thinking like, oh, sometimes singing feels easy and sometimes it takes a lot of work to make the sounds I want to make. So yeah, I'm sorry if that was too long of a story, but it just felt like it was such an important moment. And I sometimes still work on it with my voice teacher now because it is right at a part, it's like a break in my voice. It's a natural thing that everybody has in their voices. But if you want to be able to make certain sounds, you have to manage that break. And I always wondered if I made it worse by how hard I worked when I was younger to try to push through it. And so, yeah, it still haunts me today, but I did get the part.
So you mentioned that you still work with a voice teacher today. Talk about that relationship and that experience. How does that come about? And with all the success that you've achieved, what does that look like?
Well, I never had a voice teacher really until I was, when did I start working with her? Well, it might have been 25 years ago now, but I'm 57. So I was already, what does that mean? I was already older than that.
Your career was already off and running.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. On the spot. I can't do math, but I was in my 30s and I was already doing things. Yeah. I had already recorded. I think I'd only recorded my first album. And I went to see her because I hadn't ever worked with a voice teacher. I had been in choir a lot. I learned a lot from really great music teachers that I had. And I had some guitar lessons, not a lot of those either. So I was very self-taught. And when I went to see her, I was having trouble. I had been pushing my bottom so high up that I had lost my head register and I couldn't sing very high anymore. So I went to go work with her and she's incredible. Jeannie Lavetri. She's retired now, but she created her own school of voice teaching called Somatic Voice Work. And it's really been life-changing for me to understand my voice through her work and to be able to work on the things that I want it to do and actually get it to do the things I want it to do. So I work with her kind of not like I call her every couple of months and we have a lesson now, but I used to see her every week and for a lot of years. And it was very, very helpful to me. I'm so glad I did it. I was like, why would I need a lesson? I know how to sing, but like that was not true.
Laurie, I want to go back to a few moments ago. You were talking about this audition for a musical and seeing kind of the benefits of that hard work. But I read that there was a point that you had aspired to be on Broadway, but then it was kind of some rejection at different auditions that kind of derailed that idea for you. Is that correct?
Yeah, a couple of things. I mean, one was that I imagined being in musicals because I really wanted to sing, but that meant acting, which I liked acting, but I didn't really have any experience doing it. So I did the audition, I think, not on Broadway, but for some local things when I was younger and felt like, oh, I hate this. Like, I really hate someone judging me and telling me like, you're not good enough, you are good enough, whatever, and waiting and not being able to have any control over what kind of things I did when I got on stage. And I realized like, oh, I could be doing music that I wrote and then nobody could tell me what to do, which felt like a really good idea at the time. So definitely that. Also, I wasn't really inspired by musicals too much at the time. And then incredibly, in the last 10, 15 years, have been so many wonderful musicals written. Now I feel like, oh, okay, well, I'd be into it again now if anybody ever wanted me to be in their musical. But yeah, I didn't like the audition process at all. I much preferred to be in charge.
Fast forward a little bit from your days in the school chorus, you decide to go to Rutgers University and study psychology. At that point, why psychology? Were you thinking at some point that music could be a career professionally? Talk about that period of time. What was your thinking back then?
No, I wasn't thinking that music would be a career at all. I mean, I started writing music. Actually, I took a year off after my first year of college and I spent time in Africa with a host family there and I did some volunteer work for a year. And then while I was there, I started writing music. I was also teaching guitar to some people locally. And that was the first time I thought, oh, I could actually write my own stuff. So when I came back, after I graduated, when I was in college, I started playing with my boyfriend and a couple of friends, and we did a lot of cover songs, but I don't remember if I ever played any songs that I wrote. When I was with this small group, 3, 4, it was called Vitals, and the Tender Vitals and the Vitals, I think, were the names over the years. And that was like a bad cat food joke, as I recall. But I played by myself, and there were these women's coffee houses, and I would play by myself and I would play songs that I had written. But I didn't write a whole lot. So I thought I would somehow work in the psychology field. There were a couple of times where I thought about it seriously, but I didn't want to be a therapist. I wasn't really into research. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I just found those classes fascinating. And I was an art history minor also because I was like, oh, I love art. And this is really cool to find out about art. I had never taken art history classes before I went to college. I took one music theory class and I hated it, which I really wish that I had kept that up now because I could use a lot more knowledge in music theory to help me with the things I do now. But I didn't really pursue it. I just kept doing things more on my own and by ear. And yeah, I left school and thought, I don't know what I'm going to do now.
We'll get there because I've got questions about that. I'm curious, Laurie. Now, I mean, just in the short time we've been talking today, I can think of now at least 3 instances where you describe something as pursuing it almost because you had a passion for it or an interest or curiosity in it. It was first, you described the music, just something you loved music, singing. You mentioned their psychology. You just found the classes interesting. And then the art history, you talked about finding that interesting as well. That seems like it's like an early emerging theme in your story, is this idea of following interests and curiosities and things that you're passionate about. Was that an idea that was instilled in you by your parents? Was it something that just happened naturally and organically for you? Talk about that, the idea of following interests and passions.
I think it must have been. My parents wanted me to do things that would allow me to have a job and income. I remember they were a little worried when I was really into music. They're like, how are you thinking you're going to pay for food and rent doing that? But they were always very supportive. And I would say my father in particular really, he loved art and opera and classical music and folk music, and he played music all the time in the house. And he and my mom, when I graduated from college, I remember being at home and talking to them the summer after I graduated and saying, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm here living with you guys. Like, well, I don't have a job. What should I do? And they were like, we thought you wanted to be a musician. And I said, well, yeah, but no one's going to pay me to do that. How am I going to move out? And so they said, look, we will help support you for 1 year. Move into Manhattan, get yourself an apartment. We will cover the rent. figure out how to feed yourself, get some kind of a job. And if at the end of the year you haven't figured out how to do something with music, then we'll see where you're at. But like, maybe you have a shot. So good luck. And I did do that.
So you get to New York, you're working odd jobs, you're writing music, you're playing in cafes as a solo singer, songwriter. When do you form your own indie rock band, Red Onion? Quickly?
Oh my God, I'm so bad at remembering the
Give
dates.
me the general time frame.
It's generally,
Within days of getting to New York?
Not days. It was
Months?
years.
Years.
It was years. Yeah. It was a lot of years, actually.
So then you've got your indie rock band. Some members are still collaborating with you today, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Well, one of which is living with me because he's my husband.
Well, that's collaborating.
Yeah. But that's the only one. That's the only one left.
So you've got the indie rock band, Red Onion. You're also part of an all-female cover band at the time called Lois Lane. And then you're starting to juggle kids' birthday parties as well. So I've got this vision of you going out to these late night gigs in these smoky bars and pubs, and then racing home, maybe getting a quick nap, and then going out to perform at a kid's birthday party. Talk about how does all that start to happen at the same time?
Yeah. Well, that was because about a year out of college, I did get one of my odd jobs was a part-time music specialist at a preschool in Manhattan. And that was because I was babysitting for the movement specialist's daughter. And we happened to be living in the same building. And she was like, oh, yeah, you should come and you should interview for this job because they want somebody really
performing in bands and you were interested in music.
Yeah.
And
I was like playing music for her baby daughter when I would babysit for her. And she was like, you're good with kids. You like music. Why don't I'll recommend you. You could interview for this job. And she was also like, and you're cheap, which basically is what they're mostly looking for.
So you become this music specialist
yes.
and you're not on staff at the school, but you're going from either different schools or different classrooms and you're in
eventually
visiting with the kids periodically.
Exactly. So I started there and then I started to rack up some other jobs doing it, which at first I don't know why, because I really was very bad at the job. But I had a little experience. I had also been a camp counselor for older kids over the summers, the couple of summers before that. And so the reason I was doing birthday parties was because as the kids' music teacher, a lot of times the parents would say, oh, could you just come to my kid's birthday party? I'll pay you to sing with the kids and keep them entertained between pizza and cake, basically. And so I did that for a long time. And in the meantime, I had joined Lois Lane. Red Onion, they didn't overlap those two bands too much. Red Onion was my original music, fell apart, band drama. And then, but I stayed with my husband, which was good, Brian. And then Lois Lane, I was playing a lot of very late night gigs with them. Like I might not get home till 4 a.m, drag my amp upstairs because I was playing mostly electric at those shows, covered in cigarette smoke, fall asleep, wake up. It's 5 a.m. Then I have to wake up at maybe 8 so that I can shower, get dressed, get on the subway and get down to a birthday party by whatever, 9 or 10, and then put on a big smile and sing with those families. And it was over time, what I noticed was just that when I sang at those parties, I had already, at that point, I had been a music specialist long enough that I had gotten better at it. And I had started writing songs with the kids, like asking them what they wanted to sing about. And then those songs were the ones that were being requested at the parties. Whereas when I was at these bars out on Long Island, everybody just wanted, literally, they asked me to play Freebird. Like, I can't even tell you how real that was.
So you've got the kids and the parents asking you to play the things that you've created. And you've got the folks in the smoky bars in Long Island asking you to play Freebird. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you alluded to it there, but I've heard you tell the story of how one of your most famous and iconic songs, We Are the Dinosaurs, started to come together, and you improvised kind of the early stages of that song with students in a classroom.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I'm not kidding when I say I was not good at my job when I started. Like those teachers, I just remember them like rolling their eyes at me and being like, why did this person
Did you ask anybody for advice? Did you seek out mentorship?
Yes. So that's what happened. I mean, partly I did ask the classroom teachers to start coming into the classroom during my music class, first of all, to just help me try and manage the kids. And then one of them finally said, why don't you go and observe the teacher we had, the music specialist we had before you. We had her for 10 years and she was really great. So I went and I observed her, and my memory of watching her was that she sat behind a piano, which I had started at the piano thinking that was the correct instrument to use, but I was just not as good at as a piano player as I was guitar player. And I also couldn't move around the room. And I had to, because these kids would basically not pay attention to anything I said. So if I had no mobility, I really had no way to manage them at all. So when I went to see her, she sat behind her piano, ding, and she would say like, oh, won't you please stand up? And these little 3-year-olds would be like, boop, they'd stand right up. And then, oh, won't you please sit down? And they would all go, bloop, and sit right down. And I, like, my jaw was hanging out watching her in this like magician style, having these kids run around the room, dancing, doing stuff, but like for 40 minutes, and they did everything that she asked them to do. And there was no hurting each other and no screaming and stuff. And so I asked her afterwards, I was like, how did you do that? And she was like, oh, stop talking. Just put it all in the music. Like what I just sang.
Just put it all in the music.
Sing it. Yes, sing it to them. So when I first asked the kids, like that day when I wrote We Are the Dinosaurs, basically, I think I had brought in some song that I'd probably spent hours researching, finding, learning, figuring out how to teach it to them, that they heard one time and the whole class was like, boo, we hate it. So I said, okay, I never seem to have songs that you like. What do you want to sing about? And so one kid yelled dinosaurs. Then the rest of the class all started yelling, dinosaurs, dinosaurs, dinosaurs. So I just said, okay, great. I know how to write songs. Like, let's just make up a song about dinosaurs. Stand up. Let's be dinosaurs. And I thought about what her name was Ruth Alperson, what she had said to me. And so I started singing something that was close to what became We Are the Dinosaurs, which is, we are the dinosaurs marching, marching. And I was like, we're marching. Everybody march. I'm playing. And I was playing in a minor key and we're marching and we're marching. But then they got kind of wild. And I thought, okay, put it in the music. Stop and eat some food on the ground. And they were like, bloop. And they all got down on the ground to pretend to eat their food. And I was like, oh, that is magical.
Ruth knows what she's talking about.
Ruth knows what she's talking about. She was a student of Dalcroze's Eurythmics, which was, I forget the person's first name, but Dalcroze created it, which is basically like teaching kids rhythm and music through movement. And so that combining a movement and a direction and the music was truly a magic formula. And so I just did that for the rest of the song. Okay, now we're marching again. We're back to the chorus. Oh, everything's getting crazy. Hold on to your roars. We're going to do it at the end, I promise. But right now, stop and take a rest over in our, like in your nest. I just like making up words. I mean, the words to that song is, you might know, is We Are the Dinosaurs. What do you think of that? We are the dinosaurs. We make the earth flat. Because I was like, I don't know. It rhymes. And I'm just getting them to do something that they're obviously enjoying. And they're actually paying attention to what I'm asking them to do. They're moving their bodies. They're listening to directions. They're singing with me. They're acting things out. Like all the things that I wanted to have happen were happening. So it didn't really matter if the words were not the most incredible rhymes ever, but boy, has that come back to haunt me 30 years later.
You asked if I knew the words. I know the words because I looked this morning. We Are the Dinosaurs has been played nearly 83 million times on Spotify. And I've got to believe in our house, we're responsible for a good portion of those, Laurie. So I do know the words. I do know the words of We Are the Dinosaurs. So I read that you almost, I mean, you created it in that classroom for those students, but I read that you almost didn't even record it when you got into the studio and started to put together an album. Is that correct?
I mean, it wasn't that I almost didn't record it. I just didn't really know that it was going to be such a popular song. I knew the kids really liked it, so I was going to record it. But maybe what you heard was that I did not think it was like the best song on the album. And when I did it, the recording engineer was like, "Oh, you have to put this this has to be the first song." And I was like, "Really? It's kind of I mean, do you think it's a dumb song?" And he was like, "No, this is the first song." I was like, "Okay." So, and I just remember parents saying the same thing. "Oh, you have to sing that song when you come and do the birthday party." And thinking like, "Oh, okay, I guess people really like that one." Like I'm the worst judge of what music people are going to like. I just try to write things that I hope they will.
When people look at the way things catch on today and become popular, it's often social media or there's something viral on the internet that propels it to be a sensation. But in many ways, the way your success started to proliferate, to me, in many ways, is like going viral before we knew what going viral was. I mean, you were doing these birthday parties, you were selling CDs, the CDs were going in the goodie bags oftentimes. One parent was telling another parent, and then the next thing, things are starting to happen and you're shipping CDs from your apartment yourself. Talk about when you started to realize that, hey, this could resonate outside of my school, outside of my neighborhood, outside of my communities.
I think really the first thing that happened that gave me a clear picture of that was that after I had done a couple of like high profile birthday parties many years ago, some kids of celebrities. And so I also, my CDs were in, like you said, in goodie bags. And one parent was a line producer at the Today Show. And her son had become really obsessed with the Buzz Buzz album, which was my second album, which I was putting these out, recording them myself in like basement studio of a friend. And
so We Are the Dinosaurs was on the first one in 97.
Yeah. And then
Victor
Buzz
Vito
Buzz was the second
99.
one. Victor Vito. Yeah. And Victor Vito
I'm sorry,
was
with
great.
99 was the third album. And then this was in between?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 98. Yeah. And I just was writing so many songs because I was teaching I was like seeing 200 kids a week or something. So I had to keep coming up with new songs. So I'd be like writing them on the bus, on the subway in my head, like on the way to work. And then like, well, okay, I'll go try that when I get there, or asking them things. So I had written a lot of songs. I'd been recording them. And this one woman, I don't even remember her name at this point, but she had gotten the CD and her son was a huge fan. So she pitched me to I guess, I don't know, whoever was doing the programming at the Today Show. And apparently she said they turned her down. And then someone else took that job and she pitched me again. Like she was really amazing.
She was really trying to get Laurie Berkner.
Yes. She was very passionate about it and very interested in getting me on the show. And the next person, I can't remember his name either, but he was like, "Oh, I know her. I've been to a bunch of birthday parties that she sang at." "Oh, she has what? Oh, so that's interesting." I had played when one of Sting's sons was very young and Madonna's daughter, like I had done their parties because her daughter was taking classes at one of the places where I was a music teacher, but she was taking art classes and the art teacher was playing my cassette in the classroom. And so it was just like all these random things that came together. And when the people at the Today Show found out that I had like some things they could talk about, they were like, well, let's just have her come up and she could play in the plaza and do a couple of songs. And then we'll do like a biopic. They used to do like the bios back.
Yeah.
And so it was like a full 15 minutes on me and like a musician to the Kids of the Stars kind of thing. And that day, things just completely exploded. Like the story I always tell is that I was looking on Amazon, which was the only place you could buy CDs. There was no streaming yet. You could only buy CDs online really through Amazon. And my CD was like, all three of them the first three were out at that point. They were all in the top like 8 of the entire site. Like it was like,
Wow.
someone Van Morrison and then like Buzz or something. It was like so weird. And somebody else there, the distributor from Barnes and Noble, calls me at home and is like, hi, we've had people coming into our stores all over the country asking for someone named Laurie Berkner. Is this Two Tomatoes Records? And I'm like, I'm literally in a bathrobe in my 1-bedroom apartment surrounded by boxes of CDs. And I just said, yes, hold please. I'll get her for you.
Oh my God.
So it was crazy town. So that's when I was like,
I can't tell you, Laurie, how many times I've heard a story like that from like entrepreneurs who they'll say, hold on, let me check with my assistant. I was at a songwriter in the round or whatever it's called in Nashville, when you're in like a barbecue joint and you've got a songwriter who's telling the stories of the songs that they wrote. And this guy, it was Chris Stefano. Early on in his career, he was struggling to break through, and he gets a call. He said, I'm in an apartment in Los Angeles I can barely even pay my air conditioning bill. I'm sweating. I got no prospects. I got nothing going on. And I get a call from somebody on Carrie Underwood's team that she heard something that I did, and she was curious if I might work with her and write a song. And I said, let me check my calendar. And I crumble up a bunch of paper as if I'm rummaging through a calendar. And I said, you know what? I'll move something around so that, can Carrie come in later this week? And they ended up writing Good Girl, which became a #1 hit and the album title of that album.
Wow.
And his career was off the races. Now he says, I do have a jammed calendar. And I've got people calling me when they,
no, he's
all
still
the time
doing this off to the side.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you get this call from Barnes and Noble and things are just taking off.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because that was like a big peak and then things fell off again. It's just like, whatever, I'm roller coaster, 30 years, things go well and then they don't, and then they go well again. Hopefully they keep coming back to going well again.
Yes. Laurie, I'm curious. I want to kind of pivot a little bit into your creative process. I think one of the things, I put out a post on Instagram where I got questions from listeners. And one of the common questions is your writing process. And are you writing songs with the kids in mind? Are you writing songs with families in mind? Take me behind the scenes, your writing process, your thought process. How does it all come together?
I think it's changed a lot over the years. When I first started, it was 2 things. It was really exactly what I shared with you. It was like, what do these kids find interesting? Because I had no idea. And I feel like that's changed so much because listening to them tell me what they did want to sing about and then noticing what worked and what didn't when I was actually watching them as I'm like making things up was so enlightening. And I learned so much from them. It started thinking like, well, what would a child want to sing about? And I had to both ask that question, watch kids doing things, and think about my own childhood. Like I thought about that a lot. What did I remember liking? What did I think was fun? I think that also I write for a really particular, or I write well, or maybe my best writing is for like thinking about a 4-year-old, because I think that is my spirit age is like 4 years old. And I think when I finally zeroed in on that, I realized, well, that was the age group that I was working with. I mean, not when it wasn't the only age group I've ever worked with kids, but that was where I was at that time. So it was a nice coincidence that happened. And so anyway, I used to think a lot about them. I still always think about the kids. I mean, but it started only really from that place. And I was like, I just want them to have fun. I want this to organically feel good. I want them to feel like these songs are written just for them and that they feel ownership over those songs. Then after I had written a lot of songs, like I'm coming on, I don't know, I have about 300 at this point. Like I started to feel like, okay, I got to branch out a little bit because there was a lot of like animals, food movement, which is great. And I love writing with all of those things in mind, thinking about kids. But then I started to think, okay, sometimes parents are asking me for things. Like I only wrote a Clean It Up song because parents asked me to do that.
Right.
Then I started thinking about what teachers might want. Much more recently, I've been asking, like, I will post on social media, what kind of songs do you need in your classroom? Not just want, but need. And my most recent album is called Walking with the Penguins. That song came from a teacher who wrote to me and said, please, 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 I have to do a penguin unit every year. And there are no good movement songs about penguins. So I wrote Walking with the Penguins. So
very cool.
All those things are in my mind as I'm writing.
What do you think, when you really distill it all down, makes a great song? Whether you're Carrie Underwood, who I just described, Taylor Swift, the REM, or Laurie Berkner, is it the same things? What makes a great song?
I think there's overlapping things. I mean, I think there's often both something very specific and something very universal, I think, that is in the song. So you identify it. We identify with something in a song that feels specific and that makes it feel like, oh, it's about me. It's for me. But if only one person felt that way, it wouldn't be a hit song, right? So of course you also want that feeling to be something that is universal. And I think it helps a lot to have some sort of emotional connection in the music, which kind of goes back to why I said I love music so much in the beginning. The feelings that are evoked through singing, through hearing music are just so powerful, I think, for us as human beings. And I think that helps whether it's kids' music or, quote, adult music. And strangely enough, if you add in emotion like HOTTOGO, did I say that right? HOTTOGO. Yeah, right. Like, and you do the hand motions or YMCA, or you march like a dinosaur. Like, all those songs are really fun for adults and kids, right? So that can help. I don't know if Taylor Swift does a lot of motions, but obviously other people have, even though they're not necessarily writing for kids.
What emotions and feelings do you experience when you're about to step on stage and perform today?
Oh, I'm always nervous. Every single time.
Tell me more about that.
And I know that's not the only feeling I have.
Well, let's start there. Tell me more about the nervous.
Yeah, I just feel like I usually have to go to the bathroom and I feel like, okay, I'm a little got butterflies and like remind myself to breathe. I often will like jump if I'm playing with the band. Like I get them all, we all hold hands and we all jump together, like just to ground myself and remember like I'm a solid human person who is just going to be a human and go out there and do something that I hope people like and that they came because they wanted to like it. So that also gives me a little bit of an edge in that way. But I want it to be like, I want the people who came to have fun. I want them to enjoy what I am offering. And I think I also want something back from them. Like I want to have fun. So there's this kind of agreement, like a give and take in that way, that I'm here. I worked really hard to create what I'm about to share with you. But I know it's also music that you might have an intimate relationship with already. And I respect that and I appreciate it so much. And I hope that we can share some kind of feelings together. So I feel like an eagerness and an anticipation that I think is combined with that nervousness because I want it to go well. And I don't want to forget the words or the chords, which happens pretty much every show at least once.
Laurie, as you and I have talked about before, I'm from New Jersey. I know you spent a large portion of your life in New Jersey as well. I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan, and I've always admired the length of his concert performances and the energy. And it's seeming no matter what age he is or what the circumstances are, whatever night you go see him, you feel like he is giving you everything he has. And I am curious, people say the same thing about your performances. I'm curious, is that possible without passion for what you're doing?
I don't know that it would be for me. I guess maybe it depends on the person, but I think it would be hard to do if you didn't feel, because otherwise it's just like a going through the motions kind of thing. So I don't know how you would feel like what was being presented or given to you as an audience member felt like it was everything I had or everything Bruce Springsteen has if it's not real, if it's not passionate.
I was struck by, you used that word agreement, I think it was a few minutes ago. There's almost like this agreement, this understanding between the performer and the audience, at least how you think about it, and that you give everything that you have to the audience and the audience gives what they have to you. And then that's what creates a lot of the magic. I mean, I feel the same way when I'm at a Bruce Springsteen show. And I think that's an interesting way of framing it, that when you've got a group of people who are having fun and they're taking something in and they're giving it back to the performer, and the performer's giving them everything that they have and coming at them with passion and purpose, it's simply remarkable.
Yeah, well, I feel really lucky just to get to experience that. I know we have to wrap up, but I did just play this show in Toronto.
We don't have to. You can go as long as you like, Laurie.
Okay. Well, I played the show in Toronto, and I asked Sharon of Sharon, Lois, and Bram to play with me. Do you know that group?
Yes.
Yes.
Of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
So, well, I mean, not everybody in the United States does. If you're from Canada, you absolutely know them because they're like, shoot, what's the word that my publicist used? They're like, anyway, they're just legendary there. And she was generous enough to come and sing with me. And we sang Skinamarink, which is the song probably that they are most known for.
Yeah.
And the people in the audience were like weeping because a lot of the people there, they said, this is my child's first concert. And I brought him to see Laurie. But my first concert as a child, the parent, was with Sharon, Lois, and Bram. And now we're all singing Skinamarink together.
Wow.
There was something so, so beautiful about that. And I feel like I sometimes have similar stories told to me from parents whose first concert was me when they were little, because they're from here and now they have their own kids. And that, I don't know, just that incredible generational sharing of joy and music is something that not everybody gets to experience. And I feel very lucky that's been part of my whole career and my life as a performer and as a musician.
Well, Laurie, you had an extraordinary career and you're still writing many new chapters. You have made an extraordinary impact on the lives of so many. You've created moments like those moments that you just described, the hearing about at your tour stop in Toronto. I'm in my early 40s and my parents still talk about memories of me singing Raffi. And I know that 30 plus years from now and beyond, I will still be talking about memories that I have with my kids of them singing, of us all singing, We Are the Dinosaurs, Victor Vito, Rocket Ship Run, Chipmunks at the Gas Pump, and a myriad of others. Laurie, there is no question you are a tarp puller, certified member of the Everybody Pulls the Tarp family forever. Thank you so much for spending some time with me this week. It has been absolutely a blast to dig into your story, your career, and how all of this has come together. I hope this is just part one of many future parts of our conversation that we get to have here on Everybody Pulls the Tarp. Thank you so much, Laurie.
Thank you, Andrew. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, that's my conversation with Laurie Berkner. If you like this episode with Laurie, be sure to check out these past episodes in the podcast feed that you might enjoy as well. My convo from 2024 with Hootie and the Blowfish drummer Jim Sonnefeld and hit singer-songwriter of 90s song I'll Be fame, Edwin McCain. My convo from this past April with the pit star Ernest Hardin Jr. And my conversation that I had back in June with Stanley Cup champion and New York Rangers legend Mike Richter. Be sure to check those episodes out, and don't forget to share Everybody Pulls the Tarp with a friend or on social media. I appreciate you, and I am so glad that we're on this journey together. Keep pulling the tarp, and we'll talk again soon.